Hello YouTube, welcome to Alex's Reviews. For those of you who've not been here before, my name is Alex. Today I'll be talking about the play King Oedipus or Oedipus Rex by Sophocles. I'll give you a little bit of a backstory into Oedipus and what happened right before the play. So Oedipus himself was raised by a shepherd, and then one day he set away from the shepherd's care, and he came towards a town, and there was a sphinx terrorizing the town, and the king there was dead, and to be able to stop the sphinx and to become the king of that land and to marry the queen, you had to solve a riddle. The riddle was, what walks on 4 legs in the morning, 2 legs in the day, and 3 legs at night? And the answer was man. The 4 legs being crawling like a baby during the day is the beginning of your life, middle of the day walking on 2 legs as a man, and then 3 legs as a cane, as in old age before death. So anyway, he solved the riddle, he became king, so it kind of shows he's a wise guy, a wise man, and he's also very brave. He's always talking to his subjects throughout the play and making sure everything that he knows they know, and he's really honest with them. So the play opens up on the citizens complaining around the right in front of the front door of the kingdom, saying how a plague is running through them and is killing them, and they're begging Oedipus to help them find a way to save them and end this. So Oedipus goes around and tries to talk to them and console them, and he's right away trying to solve the problem. He'd already sent out his brother-in-law Creon out to go to the temple of Apollo, the god of light and of sun, to ask him for advice and how he could solve the plague and how it can go back. And as he's doing this, he's talking to all his subjects and explaining to them that he will do anything he can to really get them back to health. He also talks to his wife Jocasta, who also has a little bit of her own backstory in there. I'll be going through that later on. So Creon comes back and tells him that the reason the plague is going on is because Apollo is angry that the former king is not avenged. And Oedipus wonders why he needs to be avenged. He never knew that the previous king before him was murdered by a man out into the countryside. So he asks around, and people say he was murdered by a bandit, and the person also killed a few other men while he was there. So in front of all the people, Oedipus swears that he'll find the killer, and the killer will be cursed with lack of sight and to suffer and everything. So he sends out for the blind prophet Tiresias, because the prophet is able to see into the future and the past, and might be able to give him some advice and tell him who is the one who killed the former king. So Tiresias shows up, and he starts telling Oedipus that he is the killer, and in all these different more poetic ways telling him that, do you know who your family is? Do you know who your mother and father are? Asking him all these different questions, and Oedipus is getting a little angry by this because he doesn't quite understand where the prophet is going. He just wants a straightforward answer, like who does he have to go to find out who killed the previous king. He starts getting a little angry and starts handling him, so Jocasta, his queen, starts kind of separating them up and telling them that he needs to calm down. So Tiresias leaves angry and says, remember, think about who your mother and father are. This is kind of where the whole part of Jocasta's backstory comes in. Jocasta was a mother with the former king. She was already married to him, and she had a prophecy about her that that her husband would be killed by her son, and she would marry her son. So Jocasta is kind of worrying through all this, like what's going on. She doesn't quite understand, it seems, if you kind of read through it. Some people would argue that she knows the whole time. Some others would say that she knows nothing about what's going on. So keeps going through, and Oedipus is asking questions, and Jocasta's begging him to stop because she's starting to kind of get more of an understanding. And he starts thinking back to a time, and he remembers the question that the prophet asked him, and Oedipus, his father, he believes, is the shepherd who raised him out in the countryside that he left for a better life with more promise. So he sends out to get the shepherd. So the shepherd shows up, he talks to him, and he's asking him, what happened? What do you know of this? And the shepherd says, all right, the truth is, you're not my real son. And Oedipus didn't know this. He finds out that he was found there because another shepherd was supposed to leave him to die. And all these events unfold, and it turns out Jocasta left a baby out and he gave the baby to a shepherd who was supposed to leave it on the mountain, and the baby was found by the shepherd that raised Oedipus. So Oedipus is that baby. But Oedipus still doesn't quite understand what that's to do with the former king dying. So when Oedipus left out onto the road, turns out that he met up with the cart with the former king in it, and he got into an altercation with him, and he ended up killing him and a few of his men. So he was the one who killed them. So not only does he find out that Jocasta, his wife, and the mother of his children, is also his mother, but he also killed his father, the former king. So Jocasta kills herself, and Oedipus stabs himself in the eyes with knitting needles, I believe it was, because he's supposed to walk the world as blind as he kind of walked through it as. So he leaves the kingdom, he's no longer the king, he's blind, he's walking through the world. And a lot of the time during this class, I read this from my literacy class, the teacher kept asking us, do we really know who our parents are, and how well do we know? That's a really raised a lot of questions. Everyone really, of course, defensively said, yes, my mother and father is this, or if they didn't know him, they didn't know him. But a lot of the stories that I read in this class all have a very similar theme about, can you really escape your fate? Jocasta tried to do it by sending out her son to a shepherd, but that somehow all worked together with him ending up killing his father and marrying his mother by accident, really. And that's kind of the big theme with a lot of older stories, is destiny. Can we escape it? Is everything inevitable? Is there already a planned out time? Is there something we can do to escape this destiny? Is it something a lot of people now still have? That's a big part of the whole class I took, was how relevant are these stories now compared to the stories back then to situations that are going on now? Can we still kind of relate somehow compared to books that are coming out more recently that are popular now, but how long will they really last their popularity? And these books are some of them thousands of years old, some few hundred years old, more than that, and they've lasted all this time to us, and we still read them today. We still find them interesting. People still go through them finding new parts of the story and really analyze them in different ways. So really think about that the next book you read. How long will this content of that book last throughout time? Are the characters relatable throughout time? Is it only just based on a problem that's going on now? Will this relate to problems going on in the future? Because figuring out your fate and destiny and all these different forces going on in the world you think you may not control is really a thing that goes on. A lot of people think about now, trying to find out who you are, what you're going to end up doing in your life. Is everything already predestined for you, or is there something you can do to you completely control your life, or is everything meant to go the way it happens? So Oedipus is a great play. It reads pretty easily. I read a good translation of it, and Sophocles is a great writer. The play was very interesting when I read it in class. You read through it pretty fast because of how easily it reads, but it's definitely a lot easier to read aloud in a group because you can kind of get a sense of different characters instead of you reading through in your head. That was the problem I had a little bit with reading with it, and the same thing with a lot of plays, is you really have to really separate the characters. Within a book, it tells you exactly what character is doing what action, and it reads more through whichever way the narrator is saying it. This way you actually have to separate each line or part with each character. That gets a little bit tough for some people, but if you're willing to do that, or read out in the group, which makes it a lot easier, it's a really fun book, good interesting themes, and great lessons. So pick it up, Sophocles, King Oedipus, Oedipus Rex. You can find it on the internet. You can go out and buy the book, the play. I believe there's more to a backstory, the part of the Sphinx. I think that's out there somewhere, but hope you guys enjoy it. Let me know if you would like the review. If not, tell me ways I can improve. Subscribe, like, comment, anything below. All right, YouTube. See ya.